evening and welcome to the third and last presidential debate of 2008, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm Bob Schieffer of CBS News. The rules tonight are simple. The subject is domestic policy. I will divide the next hour and a half into 9-minute segments. I will ask a question at the beginning of each segment. Each candidate will then have 2 minutes to respond, and then we'll have a discussion. I'll encourage them to ask follow-up questions of each other. If they do not, I will. The audience behind me has promised to be quiet, except at this moment when we welcome Barack Obama and John McCain.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, welcome. By now, we've heard all the talking points, so let's try to tell the people tonight some things that they haven't heard. Let's get to it. Another very bad day on Wall Street, as both of you know. Both of you proposed new plans this week to address the economic crisis. Senator McCain, you proposed a $52 billion plan that includes new tax cuts on capital gains, tax breaks for seniors, write-offs for stock losses, among other things. Senator Obama, you proposed $60 billion in tax cuts for middle-income and lower-income people, more tax breaks to create jobs, new spending for public works projects to create jobs. I will ask both of you, why is your plan better than his? Senator McCain, you go first.
Well,
all right. Can we reduce our dependence on foreign oil, and by how much in the first term, in 4 years?
Now, on the subject of free trade agreements, I am a free trader, and we need to have education and training programs for displaced workers that work, going to our community colleges. But let me give you another example of free trade agreement that Senator Obama opposes. Right now, because of previous agreements, some made by President Clinton, the goods and products that we send to Colombia, which is our largest agricultural importer of our products, there's $1 billion that our businesses have paid so far in order to get our goods in there. Because of previous agreements, their goods and products come into our country for free. So Senator Obama, who has never traveled south of our border, opposes the Colombia Free Trade Agreement, the same country that's helping us try to stop the flow of drugs into our country that's killing young Americans. And also the country that just freed 3 Americans, that will help us create jobs in America, because they will be a market for our goods and products without us having to pay the $1 billion and more that we've already paid. Free trade with Colombia is something that's a no-brainer. But maybe you ought to travel down there and visit them, and maybe you could understand it a lot better.
Let me respond. Actually, I understand it pretty well. The history in Colombia right now is that labor leaders have been targeted for assassination on a fairly consistent basis, and there have not been prosecutions. And what I have said, because the free trade, the trade agreement itself does have labor and environmental protections, but we have to stand for human rights, and we have to make sure that violence isn't being perpetrated against workers who are just trying to organize for their rights. Which is why, for example, I supported the Peruvian Free Trade Agreement, which was a well-structured agreement. But I think that the important point is we've got to have a president who understands the benefits of free trade, but also is going to enforce unfair trade agreements and is going to stand up to other countries. And the last point I'll make, because we started on energy, when I talked about the automakers, they are obviously getting hammered right now. They were already having a tough time because of high gas prices, and now with the financial crisis, car dealerships are closing and people can't get car loans. That's why I think it's important for us to get loan guarantees to the automakers, but we do have to hold them responsible as well to start producing the highly fuel-efficient cars of the future. And Detroit had dragged its feet too long in terms of getting that done. It's going to be one of my highest priorities because transportation accounts for about 30% of our total energy consumption. If we can get that right, then we can move in a direction not only of energy independence, but we can create 5 million new jobs all across America, including in the heartland, where we can retool some of these plants to make these highly fuel-efficient cars, and also to make wind turbines and solar panels, the kinds of clean energy approaches that should be the driver of our economy for the next century.
Well, let me just say that this is, Senator Obama doesn't want a free trade agreement with our best ally in the region, but wants to sit down across the table without precondition with Hugo Chavez, the guy who has been helping FARC, the terrorist organization. Free trade between ourselves and Colombia, I just recited to you the benefits of concluding that agreement. $1 billion of American dollars that could have gone to creating jobs and businesses in the United States, opening up those markets. So I don't think there's any doubt that Senator Obama wants to restrict trade and he wants to raise taxes. And the last president of the United States that tried that was Herbert Hoover. And we went from a deep recession into a depression. We're not going to follow that path when I'm president of the United States.
All right, let's go to a new topic, health care. Given the current economic situation, would either of you now favor controlling health care costs over expanding health care coverage? The question is first, Senator Obama.